Hey guys, Moneyman300 and got another tuning video today. This time we've got the Class A Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale. So this is a great car. If you've looked at the leaderboards, you know that it does well on B class and in A class, mostly on the handling track. So this is going to be a grip tune. This has great acceleration, and I ran it and I really tuned it because I wanted something for the new tracks, the Laguna Beach. So I ran it on Laguna Beach full circuit. Had a pretty good go for a few laps there, and let's head on over the track and I'll show you the lap that I ran. Okay, so here we are over on the track. Go through the lap real quick. I ran a pretty good lap here. This was the 10th lap that I ran, but it was not because I wasn't getting good times, because I couldn't keep it clean, and this is actually the first time I've ever driven this track, so needed a few laps to get myself warmed up, but and you can see even this lap, it was okay. You know, there's some room in here, right there. A little cut that a little bit better. This car has ridiculous acceleration, so you just have to be just good enough on the turns and get the car straight to take advantage of that. Cut that okay. Could have cut that just a little bit more. Ugh, there, lost the back end just a little bit right there, but overall pretty good. I did some work on the gearing to try to tame it down, the torquiness a little bit. So the gears are a little bit longer, but it's not too bad. Let's see here, make a decent turn on that one. That helps. That cut off some pretty good time, but then you got to be careful. So I'm running without traction control here, and you can do that. It runs good without it, but you got to be careful laying on that gas right after. With that torque, you can break them loose pretty easily. And you've seen I've already done that. It's a little better there. I've done that a couple of times already here. And then coming up on this last turn here, I think I make a pretty good turn here. Yeah, get outside, cut right there on that late apex, and then back onto the gas without too much wheel spin. And that should carry us here through the finish line there. Yep. All right, beat another rival with that one. In the 10th lap, still beating rivals. 124 flat, so it's a pretty good score. From what I can tell on that, and I cut right over to the leaderboard. You can see that it's good for 165th, which isn't bad. I had a couple that were right around there too, but I was trying to really run this up in the top 100 and still think I can get there. But let's head over to the garage. Okay, so here we are over in the garage. Let's head in here and check out our parts. So first off, let's go to our engine conversion area. I don't think I did anything here, if I remember correctly. No, I did not. So you can't do an engine swap really without putting it up quite a ways up over R or over S and into R class, and I was keeping this one in A class. So nothing I could do there. Left the drivetrain alone as well. Did not go with an all-wheel drive, and I did not elect to do. I could have done the twin turbo in exchange for some other parts, but I like the centrifugal supercharger. The twin turbo, especially on the type of car I was building, didn't seem particularly beneficial. This isn't a top speed, and I wasn't definitely not looking for any more torque in the mid-range. So did not do any engine conversion pieces there. So let's head over and look at our engine parts. Quite a few engine parts in here. So we're going to have race fuel system. So there was a lot I could do in here once I started going through it. Stock ignition. We're going to have race exhaust, and we are going to have the race cams and valves. And the race valves. Like how it says cams and valves and then valves, but did it say cams and valves? It does. Anyway, race here, race there, race displacement as well, and then stock pistons and compression, and as always stock flywheel. So that's all of our engine parts. Oh, probably better just check out our numbers real quick. I didn't go through that. So we have 6.7 speed, 5.8 handling, 9.5 acceleration, 9.5 launch, and 6.2 braking. This is a acceleration car, no doubt about it, but it also has pretty good speed. So that's what makes this Alfa 33 so good. Is you can it's very versatile. You can make it a speed car, you can make it a handling car. Very good car. So then look at our horsepower numbers. We have 360 horsepower, 209 foot-pounds of torque, 1,381 pounds, very light. That also very much contributes to that acceleration. 41% of the weight to the front, this being a mid to rear engine type car. I think that gets considered rear, and then 3.0 liters of displacement. Okay, now let's go look at the platform and handling, and this is we're gonna have race brakes, race roll bars, Standard, this I didn't do a race here, considered it. Right, it actually does take the handling number up one, so it's a possibility, but I'd have to drop some more horsepower to there, and really didn't have too many problems with the handling once I got it dialed in. And then did do the full race weight reduction. So let's go over here into the drivetrain. I'm going to have the stock clutch. Transmission, as I mentioned, did a little bit of work on the gearing. Had the sport. I had the street in here, and you can see, you know, you get 8 PI back. You go put some more horsepower, and it wasn't too bad, but you went through the first 3 gears just so fast, and that's probably okay for a lobby car because you're not coming off the line, but it would have made it really difficult. What did I say? Lobby? Leaderboard. It's good for okay for a leaderboard car, but for a lobby car, you're going to want something that gets off the line a little easier, and you're not constantly shifting. So, you know, when you're starting off. So I did elect to go with the sport transmission. I think it is faster with the sport transmission, but it is something you could play with if you wanted to do a little something different. Next up, did I end up putting a driveline? I did. I needed 1 PI, so I ended up with the race driveline here. It didn't even give me 1 PI here, so I probably changed something else somewhere else. Anyway, ended up with that, and then as always, our race differential. Let's move over to the tires and rims. I did mention this is a grip, a handling, acceleration car, so we do have the full race tire compound. We also have full width on the front and the back. There's only one upgrade, but we did do that upgrade on both of them. Another area where maybe you could get a couple PI back for some speed. I don't think it's worth it, to be honest with you. And another thing, these are stock wheels. These wheels actually, I think, are the lightest wheels out there. So if you wanted to go put some heavier wheels on here, you could do that. If you see, if I go through here and get a PI here and there, you know, on some heavier wheels. Or if you just like the look of a different wheel and want to add 5 pounds, knock yourself out there. But a lot of people run this with the stock wheels because they are basically the lightest wheels that you can get. So we have stock wheels there. We're going to have the front and back. I don't need to go into both of those, but we do have both race aero front and back. So that is all of the parts. Let's hop over into the tune area. Now this car, out of the box, might have had the worst tune or numbers I've seen. And they were so far off that I thought I better just go drive it in case I was missing something in there. But it wasn't. It was bad. So this one really needed some tune. Throw that base tune on there, and I adjusted off of that. Like I said, the gearing ended up at 4.5 with the final drive. I think the default is like 5.5, and on here you can see only. But do I have all 6 gears on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I do. All 6 gears. For whatever reason, this thing was geared up at about 5.5, and it was ridiculous. So. We bumped that down 4.5, a lot more controllable that way. Alignment, some changes in the alignment here, and this is something you might see a little bit more. You see a little something different here, and especially in that rear camber, a whole bunch. And after I'm done tuning everything else, I still couldn't quite control the rear end. I was still losing it, and you saw even in the video I lost it a couple of times. You could run traction control with it. Certainly that'll keep it in check, but I think it could also potentially be slower, maybe faster, but some people are able to run traction control and be faster. I tend to not run it and try to do it with throttle control and tuning. But anyway, negative 3.0 in the front and 4.3 in the rear. I had 3.0 and 2.8. And I just was really struggling coming out of turns with it. Went to 4.3 there, really started to make it hook up nicely. I've seen a couple other people doing this, and now this is the second car, and you'll see a tune coming from another car, that Ferrari 458 Italia that I did in the Supercar Challenge had a similar setup to this, and that's where I kind of played around with it and learned that if you really are having problems, you can put a whole bunch of rear camber in there potentially. I don't know that this works on every car, but it definitely worked on this one. So a lot of negative camber we're running. The toe, both of these are just stock. I didn't mess with those. Same thing with that caster angle. I only start bumping that up if I have some instability in the straights. Maybe 5.5 or 6.0 would have been okay. That can help coming out of turns sometimes there too, but I elected just to leave that at 5.0. But you could play with that. You could try to bump that up and see if it helps with the stability at all. Anti-roll bars. They had some, you know, for a base tune, they had like 24 and 4, I think, between the front and the rear. So I balanced that out a little bit. It's still a pretty big differential there, and that's everything. Everything you're doing here is kind of an understeer tune, so this thing has a lot of natural oversteer. out of the box. So doing things with the roll bars, with the springs, and with the alignment to try to control and keep that rear end in check. So we've got 21.54 in the front and 10.54 in the rear. In the springs, they literally had like 108 or something like that in the front and 130 in the rear or something. I mean, just really soft. And when I drove it, I like almost couldn't steer it. It was so soft, I almost couldn't steer it down the just down the straightaways to make any small adjustments. So we went to a little bit more normal here. Again, slightly understeer tune to keep the this is not understeer tune. This isn't really over or understeer tune. This is pretty balanced because you got more weight in the rear. So it's pretty balanced spring setup. Technically, because I only have 41% in the rear and 59% to the rear, this is a little bit understeer tuned. It just doesn't look like it based on the numbers, just because there's so much of the weight on the rear end. But it is pretty soft in the rear for the springs in correlation to the weight that's actually back there. So we have 255.2 and 287.8. Ride height is all the way up. That was actually default, so I just went ahead and left it. Didn't really play around with that at all. It felt fine. It was stable, and for the most part, it's stable. And there's some pretty high turn strips on this track, so it did well like that. Rebound 9.1, 10.6. That's drastically different. Again, out of the box, it was like 3 something, but I like to have that rebound super stiff and with the bump soft. And again, it's a little more in the rear than in the front, but that's just because of the weight, just like with the springs, more than anything else. And our aero, I didn't mess with the aero at all. I thought about it, but then being that acceleration car, don't plan on running this on longer tracks where the aero is going to have a huge impact on it. But you could go either way with this. Maybe a little more aero. I didn't really feel the need to do anything with the aero. 53% and 125, very standard. That seemed to work pretty well. And then way low on that. Again, this was everything to try and control that rear. I had it at 50, then I had it at 30. I took it all the way down to 15, and that seemed to kind of calm things down with the torque that I had there. And then 8% on that deceleration. So that's all of the tune and parts. It's also saved out there under my gamer tag Moneyman300. If you don't want to put the numbers in yourself, feel free to you can just download the tune and get it that way. Otherwise, it's a good, excellent leaderboard car, excellent lobby car. I think you're gonna have a lot of fun driving this car. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.